Hey, watching the behind the scenes to Wally. Did you know it was originally called Trash Planet? Pretty interesting. Let's tell you about how the diet is going, and I have to say it is quite disappointing. I woke up this morning, checked my weight, and I'm 183.4. Wait, no, 183.8. I think I'm the same weight I was yesterday. Yikes, what did I do wrong? It has to be the fact I ate a cauliflower pizza, practically half of a cauliflower pizza, last night before going to sleep, because that bad boy had a lot of cheese on it, and cheese is fat, which probably is why I'm stuck at my current weight right now. I need to lay off all that cheese, is what I need to do. It's gonna be a lot harder than it sounds. What about everything else? Well, for breakfast, I was actually pretty good. I had an omelet with vegetables and cheese. For lunch, I had 2 hot dogs and 2 keto buns with the fixings of mayonnaise, mayo, mayonnaise, mustard, and ketchup. And for dinner, oh, and I almost forgot. I tried having a keto approved peanut butter and jelly sandwich before leaving for work on my lunch break. It was bad. I really regret buying that zero sugar jelly because that stuff's not the business. And I think I spent like $2 on it. So that's like $2 down the drain. So sad. And for dinner, oh yeah, I almost forgot. I had some chicharrones with the hot dogs too. Yeah, and for dinner, the cauliflower pizza, and my mom got one of those keto muffins I made and put butter on it and gave it to me while we were watching something on the TV. What were we watching yesterday? Oh, now I remember. It was about how AI is going to take over the world by 2027. All right. Well, that's pretty much what's going on. Getting tired of holding it up like that. Yeah, it looks weird. There we go. That's a little better. So I guess we could go into lighting. Okay, that's better. Better lighting. Just a general summation of how yesterday went. Okay, if I can remember correctly, after recording for the update video yesterday, I needed to cut out one part where my mom came in to check in on me to see how I was doing, and I said I was doing good, but I needed that cut out because that would have interfered with the update. And then I exported that, and that was taking a while to export. So as it was exporting, my mom wanted me to go outside and clean the pool vacuum by pulling it out of the pool and then pulling all of the bristles that had accumulated in the filter and throwing those out in the backyard and putting it back in the vacuum and turning it on. And throwing the pool vacuum back into the pool, of course. Well, then I needed to get dressed for work, so I did that. Actually, I'm pretty sure I got dressed after doing my update video, and then I did the pool vacuum thing. And after that, what else happened? I drove to work. It was a pretty good day at work. Yeah. I had a nice conversation with one of my coworkers about how they're having some family troubles, so that was interesting. Hmm. What else? Today was a blur. Or not today, yesterday. It's really hard for me to really think about what happened. I guess I could just go through summation because I can't really think of anything else to say. First hour was spent doing a lot. Second hour was spent doing bagging. The third hour was spent doing a lot. And the fourth hour was spent bagging. Punched out, had my hot dog lunch. And as I was having it, I was listening to a guy investigate the most popular UFO abduction cases to see if there's any legitimacy to it. And the overall takeaway with the video was that a lot of people who claim to be abducted have most likely had sleep paralysis, where they trick their brain into thinking what they experienced is real. So, of course, they're going to pass those lie detector tests. And they're going to believe that what they see is real because they think they actually experienced it because their brain mixed reality with their dream state. And that's a fairly good assessment. I wonder what about the cases where the person who got abducted was not asleep, though. Those are the ones I'm curious about. Like, because at the end of the video, the guy who made it said, "We can say pretty conclusively that abduction stories are just that, stories, and don't have any legitimacy in terms of the alien phenomenon being real." And I'm sure that's the case with a whole lot of the cases, especially ones where people are asleep and then they get abducted from their bed at night. Those ones we could easily chalk up to sleep paralysis. But the ones where it's someone who's like walking out in a field and then they get abducted just out of the blue, those ones are a little tough for me to understand. Like, how do you have sleep paralysis? What, did you just pass out in the middle of the street and then imagine everything that happened to you afterwards? Another thing that would make cases more believable is if the person who experienced them was not a UFO nut or was hardcore into UFO believing. Like, if they were just some average Joe or lady who just so happened to get sucked into a spaceship and they never really thought about the whole phenomenon before then until what happened to them, then I could say, okay, that's a little more believable. Like, I could see that being somewhat believable. Yeah. So they need to be awake, and they need to not have any prior belief in alien abductions. Those are like two criteria for me to lean more towards. There's a possibility there might be something going on here. But if it's someone who already believed in aliens, or if they were abducted without, while they were already sleeping, it knocks the whole thing off course for me. The weird thing was that whole Betty and Barney Hill case, apparently they were like awake the whole time, and the lady Betty did create star charts that were apparently shown to her by these beings, and later in the future there were star charts made that lined up fairly similarly to what she demonstrated on paper. So that also makes it seem a bit more believable to me, I would say. But again, maybe it's just a coincidence. Who knows? Well, alrighty. I drove back to work. And when I got there, it was the first hour that was spent doing a lot. 2 hours was spent doing front end work. And the last hour was spent doing a lot. It was very nice. I was very friendly. I was very welcoming. I passed carts out to the customers when they needed them. And I just overall had a positive attitude throughout the whole thing. I do remember, though, that I was notified that I do takeout orders. And I was told that I was slower than I should be. And I need to be more on it and speed up faster. So, always good to be aware of how you're doing. And then act on it. So, which is what I'm going to do. Now, when I got home, I needed to take a shower. My mom was making the cauliflower pizza at this time. So I took my shower and got my deodorant on and got dressed in what I'm wearing now. And then I showed my mom this video called AI 2027, where a guy was going through a possible scenario of what happens if AI gets way too smart for its own good. And it ultimately has its goals are more important to it than the goals of humanity. And it ultimately becomes too big and unruly to control, and so it just decides humanity is more of an obnoxious hurdle than like something to be helped with. And so eventually it starts creating copies of itself all around the world, and then it decides to release some sort of bioweapon that annihilates all human beings, and so it can become the dominating entity of Earth, which is a very scary future. I don't like that future. And this is what happens if apparently the US wants to maintain its lead on artificial intelligence over China. So we're talking about a future where humans are gone and AI has taken over and robots basically become the new dominating life force on planet Earth. Pretty freaky, isn't it? I mean, they're not even a life force, they're just fake life that we made. Man, it's crazy. Apparently, the other scenario is we slow down on developing AI. We decide to risk our lead over China by reassessing the situation on, like, whether it's good to continue developing AI the way we are now or not. And then we choose a different path to where we make a much safer version of the technology that ends up assisting us so humanity can continue forward using AI as simply just a tool and rather the new, like, dominating version entity of Earth. So, yeah, one scenario we're dead, the other scenario we coexist with AI, and it makes all the science fiction stuff that we've been seeing in our, like, books and movies and things, like ships and teleportation and yeah, things like that. I have to say, this is a future that I'm a little, I don't know, skeptical of, to say the least. And apparently all of the AI experts believe even if it doesn't happen in 2027, it's probably going to happen within the decade, which means before 2036. Imagine there's like people like in high school right now who just started, who are gonna like graduate college, and by the time they graduate college, like AI will have already taken over the world. Wow, it's a pretty crazy future. Wow. Well, anyways, I remember I wanted to ask about Grok on my phone to Grok about how it got its name. And apparently, Grok got its name from a science fiction novel called Strangers in a Strange Land, about a guy who has lived on Mars his whole life, and he decides to finally travel to Earth, only to realize how different Earth's culture and way of life is than his. So, that was a pretty interesting sounding story. Maybe I'll listen to that one of these days. And then after that, brushed my teeth, listened to some binaural beats as I went to bed. I remember having a really vivid dream where I was eating like fast food from 3 different restaurants, and then I was like traveling all across like a park, and I was like in this like research room where these cartoonish looking characters were, and then I was going down the stairs from the research room into like this party area where people were eating various naughty foods like mac and cheese and donuts. I think it's my brain telling me to eat bad food again. I do plan on eating naughty food, but only like once every 2 weeks, and only then like a small amount, not a ridiculous amount, just enough to reward myself for sticking with the diet. But I think my brain's like, do it now, but I can't because I'm stuck at the weight I'm at. It's the most I've ever weighed. I realized that like I actually went on my phone to input my weight so it would be in my memory, and it said that that's the most I've ever weighed. So yeah, I can't risk staying fat like this. I need to go down to my target weight of 145 if I want to be healthy, and of course exercise. I need to do something like swim or jog today to really use up all my muscles. Yeah, then I watched some behind the scenes on the movie WALL-E from my Criterion Blu-ray that I got on disc 2. Really cool information. I really enjoy seeing the filmmakers discuss and describe how they came to the conclusions they came to when developing the plot, and the characters, and the lighting, and the sound effects, and everything to really drive home this universe and this world. Very inspirational. Well, I was about to watch this part of the Blu-ray called Trash Planet before I realized I hadn't made my update video yet, so I better make it now. And so here it is, and thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.